Hey everyone, this video is going to be on the basics of piano playing. Now, I've only been playing for 2 weeks, so the reason I'm doing the video is to give you an idea from a beginner's perspective what I've been doing, and maybe it will help you out. So, I started off without any labels on the keys, and it made it very easy for me to memorize the keys within a short amount of time. But I'm going to show you how to label your keys. It will help you out trying to figure out where you want to be, and then after you figure it out and you know the notes, take the labels off because you will become too dependent on them and you will never learn. You will always be looking for those labels. So only do it for a short amount of time and then remove them. Now you can see I've got a 61 key keyboard over here. You can see the left, it starts off over here at C. And I'll show you the labels for that in a minute, and then it ends over here, I believe, on B. But what you want to do is you want to look at your keyboard, and you want to look towards the center, find the center of the keyboard. This would be about the center over here on mine. So you go to the left and the right and find the middle point, and then after you find the center point, look for the two black keys. Now normally, on an 88 key piano, they will be directly in the middle. But on a 61 key, like I've got over here, they might be a little bit over to the side, which is okay. So you want to locate the two black keys, not the three. You want to locate the two black keys in the middle. And once you do that, that will be your starting point for middle C. So I'm going to show you that right now. Find that location, the two center keys, and we will start from there. Now on an 88 key piano, you will normally have the piano starting out on C, and the first C all the way to the left will be C1, then C2, then C3, then C4. So normally the center middle C, this is called middle C, remember we found the two black keys, the middle C is called C4. In some countries it's called C3, but the standard international throughout the world is C4. So even though I don't have a C1 on my keyboard, and I'll show you that in a minute, I am going to start with middle C being labeled C4. So this is how you want to label the keys on the piano so that they match up with the notes. You've got two black keys, as you can see, and you've got three black keys. The first key to the left of the group of two is C. And since that is in the middle, that is labeled middle C. So I'm just going to call it C4, like I explained. The next key up, D, or that could be called C4D, but you don't need to do that. You're just doing this so that you can start to understand the groups of notes that you're going to be playing. So the first key is C, then it's just like the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do thing. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you start over at C again, but now you are at C5. And let me see if I can get a picture of this. You can see I go all the way over. I didn't really label it all the way through. I did C5, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then it would start off at C again. So I just labeled it as a 6. Now we're going to go back to the middle C that I told you about, C4, and it's the exact same thing. You start at the next C to the left, it becomes C3, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you're at middle C, C4. And then on my keyboard, it starts out on C, so I didn't label that as a C2. I just left it alone because I'm not going to be learning at that far end of the keyboard yet. But if you had a 88 key piano, then you would be starting out at C1, then this would be C2, then you'd have C3, C4, C5, and I think it goes all the way up to C8. Now the next part of the labeling will be on the black keys. And this is where we get into a little bit of theory that I'm going to be explaining, beginning theory for somebody who is 1 or 2 weeks into working on the piano like I am and starts off completely confused. But your first black key after the C is a C sharp. Your second one is a D sharp. That's because here's C, C sharp, D, D sharp. E and F, if you know any music theory, there are no sharps or flats between them because we have nothing in between those two notes. That's just how it is. Don't get too confused about it. We have the key F, the note F, so we have an F sharp. G, so we have a G sharp. A, so you label it A sharp. So now you know how to label your piano so that at least you can start memorizing. And the advantage of doing this, even though it is something you don't want to do for a long time, the advantage of doing this, I'm going to show you in a minute, is that when you start to practice your basic chords, which I'm going to show in my video, when you start to do that, you can look at the notes and you will start to memorize what notes are in each chord. And the neat thing about this is there is a pattern, so you really don't even need to know what you're doing as long as you know the pattern and you've got a chord. So I'm going to show you the patterns, and then you can look at the notes and you can start memorizing them so you understand some music theory and how to make chords and maybe understand what you're doing. I'm going to cover a little bit of very basic theory, probably more advanced than somebody normally starts off with, but I'm going to cover some music theory that should help you along, and that's why it's helped me. I've only been doing this for about a week, and understanding the theory has made it so much easier for me to put this whole thing together. So some basic theory is you have, what do we have, 12 notes? There are 12 notes: C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then you start over with C again. So those are all the notes in a scale. I think they call it a chromatic scale. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. So that's the chromatic scale, I believe. And what you have is, you have C, you have all these things here, these notes. Well, these are also keys. They could be keys. They are notes, but they could be considered keys when you consider that each key has a group of notes. Now, that doesn't really make any sense to you, but if you would start off in the key of C, you would have a series of notes. C, this is why C is considered the easiest key to learn with, because you have really no sharps and flats. You don't have to deal with the black keys usually when you're dealing with the key of C. It is all white notes. The key of C is C. It is all, they're called naturals. C, there's no sharps, there's no flats, which would be these black keys. They are just naturals. C is a natural, D. These are all naturals. So here's your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So if you were playing in the key of C, you would normally just be doing the white keys, which makes it very easy to learn, but not everything is written in the key of C. So if we have our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, there is a pattern to understand this, and the pattern is called whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, labeled with WWH, WWWH. And so what does whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half mean? Let me explain that now. If you enjoy this video, if you enjoy any of my videos, please do a thumbs up, a subscribe, a like. If you want to help me out by going to my channel page and clicking on the donate button, that would be awesome. It's a support button, but that's up to you. Either way, I'm glad to help anybody out. So let's go back with the notes for a minute. Let's look at just the notes from C to C. And we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, we have these notes up here. You see that I labeled C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. Why did I do that? Well, listen to this note. Let me get the volume up. Okay, so that is C. Listen to how sharp when I play the C sharp, it's a higher pitch. It's a higher tone. As you can see, as we go up the keyboard, it's higher. As we go down the keyboard, it's lower. Sharper, flatter. You get that? Sharps and flats. So as we look at this, C, when we sharpen the C, it's a sharper tone. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp. There are no sharps or flats between E and F. That's the half step. Notice half, 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 half. So you're learning a lot of theory here, but this should really make a big difference for you. But what do we have when we're looking at the key? We're going to look at the key of C. We're starting off with C, which makes it the key of C here. So we have half, half. So we have a whole here. From here to here is a whole because we went half and a half. So we have whole, and we have another half here. So we have whole, and then we don't have a half in between. We don't have a black key, so we have the half. So we have whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. That is what a lot of people will learn if they spend some time working with theory. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. So that is how you figure out music, and when you're dealing with different keys, that pattern still applies. Now, I might mess this up, but I'm going to try to show you. Here we have in the key of C, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, so now if we go to do that in the key of D, let me try doing the exact same thing that I just did with the key of C, and you'll see what happens. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It didn't sound right, did it? Remember? Now listen to this. Doesn't sound right. Why? Because we are not following the pattern. We have to do the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So if we're playing in the key of D, instead of doing, let's do the whole. Half, we have the half. From here to here is a half. And then from here to here is a half. So we do a whole. And then we're going to do that again. And then from here is our half. And then we're going to go from here, our whole again. Our whole again has to go up to the black key. So we would do whole. It's confusing when you do whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. It gets very confusing when you start playing. It's easier to do root. And the root is the note you're starting on. The key of C is that's called the root. The root note is C, the root note is D, the root note is E when you're dealing with keys. So root, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So you just got weeks worth of theory in a few minutes. And the same thing applies when you're doing it with E. Let me try to get some better lighting here. You've got the same whole, whole, half. So you can't do, because you can hear, it sounds terrible.